Welcome everybody back to WWTF. We want the facts of the gaming show. I'm Fred White, and today is one of the most anticipated episodes ever, at least in my opinion. And we're finally going to be upgrading the Alienware Alpha console. Now we're calling this project the Alienware Alpha Upgrade Project, where we'll be upgrading the processor from an i3 to i7. We'll be installing the drivers so we can use the Steam OS controller. This is supposed to replace the keyboard and the mouse, and we'll be increasing the memory. We'll be bumping it up from 4 gigs to 16 gigs. And first, I must warn you that this video is extremely long because we're going to go into full detail about the product. And I also must warn you that if you damage your system following this tutorial, we have nothing to do with that. If you don't feel comfortable with upgrading your system, my advice to you is to go to your nearest PC repair shop or get a tech, if you know one and you trust, to do this for you. With this, you're going to need some tools. Not much, but you're going to need some. First, you're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver. The magnetic one, I would prefer to catch the screws, excuse me, and a business card, and that will come in handy. But one of these plastic store cards would do. Not everybody does that method that we're going to try. So give you a little backstory on the Alienware Alpha console that I have. I purchased the i3 processor with 4 gigs of RAM and a 500 gig hard drive, and this came pre-installed with Windows 8. Later on upgraded to Windows 8.1, and I had a very hard time with running games on here. Some games work, more the old generation games, like the games that came out on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 as well. They worked fine on here. But the reason why I got this is because I wanted to play next generation games that were on the PS4 and the Xbox One. And the guy, I seen a video before I got this because I like to do my research. And in my opinion, I may be wrong. The guy basically lied about this. If you get the i3 version and 4 gigs, you're not going to be able to run games like, for instance, Metro that I got for free. A lot of like plane simulators or train simulators. If you do run those games, you would have to run it on a low graphics setting. I ran Alien Absolution. It was just horrible. Soma, and that was when Windows 8 was still here. When I upgraded to Windows 10, it did improve it a little bit. I was able to run some of those games, and I don't know what Windows 10 did, but it did a good job, or a better job, using the i3 processor, and some of the games were able to run more smoother. My goal on this is to be able to play H1Z1 without using a keyboard and a mouse, as it is just an exclusive PC game. It's supposed to be coming to PS2, but who knows? And I'm not a keyboard and mouse guy. I grew up playing with joypads, joysticks, so I'm not really comfortable with playing with keyboards and mouse, and that's what this thing does. And when I got it, also came with an Xbox 360 wireless controller and a wireless receiver. Now, there are 2 different versions of the Alienware Alpha console. One of them they're calling the Alienware Alpha Console Ultra Gaming PC, I believe, and that comes with Windows 8.1. It may come upgraded now since Windows 10 is out now. Maybe it'll come with Windows 10. And it comes with an Xbox 360 controller, wireless controller, and a wireless receiver. Then they have one that's called the Steam Machine, and that basically comes with the Steam OS controller and Steam OS. It doesn't come with Windows on it. And for this build, if I didn't mention, you're going to need those tools. And the processor that we're going to be upgrading today, we're going to be upgrading it to a i7 processor, and we're also going to be putting in RAM in here. And the RAM that you need for this is DDR3, 1600 megahertz. And if you look at the website, Dell and GameStop, you see that it only goes up to 8 gigs. So they're saying that you can only bump this thing up to 8 gigs. But trust me, that's not true. You can bump this thing up to 16 gigs of RAM. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get with this build. All right, we just flipped the console over. That's all we did. And on this build, you have to unscrew 4 screws. That's one here, 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 and here. And as you can see, that this is an i3 processor version, like I said, and it came pre-installed with Windows 8, which is horrible on this machine. And all you simply have to do to unscrew the screws, you have to put the screwdriver in here. And I don't have a magnetic screwdriver, but I prefer you to have one. And you just unscrew these. Okay. So before we go any further, I must warn you again, if you so happen to mess up your machine while following this tutorial, we are not responsible. If you don't feel comfortable doing this, just get a PC tech that you know personally or otherwise, or take it to a store that will, work on your computer or whatever. And I think I forgot to mention that when we're installing the processor, you're going to need either heat compound or thermal paste. Real important. If you don't put this on the processor, as we're going to show you, you're going to damage your system. It's going to overheat and it's going to fry something in your system. So please get this. I was fortunate enough to get this from a store that's going out of business, and it was like $3. You can get this from CompUSA. This is still the same store, but Micro Center sells it, and Best Buy also sells it, but they have to order it. So if you want to get it right then and there, go ahead and get it. But you definitely need that. So under here, once we remove the screws, we can take this off. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and dump these real quick. All right. Now, as you can see right here, this is where your hard drive is. But we're not installing a hard drive today. But real simple. Just one screw, push it forward, and then install your hard drive. Take out these 4 screws that's on the side. Put what you need in there. But we're just going to turn this back over. And just simply the top just comes off. Alright, so if you notice, inside we have 2 fans in here. We have one for the GPU and one for the CPU. Now the GPU is soldered onto the motherboard, so you cannot upgrade that, but we're going to deal with the CPU fan. So you have these 2 tabs right here that you must squeeze together and just take off like so. There's no need for you to take off the GPU fan because you can't replace the GPU. But for giggles, I'll just take it off so you can see. Not that difficult to do. I don't know what's going on. That's your GPU right here. So it's no need for you to take anything off. But this is what the innards look like. And this is the RAM right here. Now, it looks like they only gave me 1 stick. So that's kind of a blower. And this thing was running slow. So simply to move the RAM, you're going to just push these 2 tabs out on either side. And then just lift your RAM up. and we're going to replace both sticks. Now, like I said, this is DDR3, PC3, running at 1600 megahertz. And it's real simple to install. The only thing you have to do is match up this notch with this notch right here. All right. The shortest one is to my left, and the longest one is to my right. So reverse that if you're doing it. Okay. So you just simply push the RAM in here. Push it in a little bit. I want to move this cord. Push it down. You hear that click. Sign, you know you did it. The same as this one. Push it down. And that's it. All right, now on to the most exciting part of the tutorial. We're going to be installing the i7 processor. Finally. Let's get rid of this RAM. And this is what the processor looks like. Comes in that Intel box. And we see that we have a fan for it, but we can't use this fan due to the simple fact it does not go inside the Alienware Alpha console. So there's no way to get it in there. Alright. And let me show you one more thing. The heat compound, or the bond, or whatever you want to call it, this is already on the processor. So if you're doing this on something other than the Alienware console, there's no need for that heat sink, because it's already on the block itself. So bypass that if you're installing this on something else. So this is the Intel i7 processor. Pretty simple. And it's something that you have to look out for on this. These two notches right here have to match up with the two notches that's going to be under this unit. So let's go ahead and put this back real quick. And to get to the processor, we must take that heatsink off. So it's 4 screws that you must unscrew. Alright, once that's done, we can go ahead and remove this here. And as you can see the heat sink is on this processor right here, or the thermal paste. And this is the processor right here. So let's go ahead and get this bad boy out. Alright. So, let's see how to get it out. Okay, I see. Alright, this lever right there, you must have to push it out, and then it'll come up automatically. So let's push it out, and yeah, it just came up. And just lift this. That's it. So, remember when I said about those two notches? It looks like it's a notch here and a notch here. So it'll be facing on your left side. So basically all you have to do is lift this thing up. The two notches right here. and replace it with the i7 processor. 2 notches right there. And simply the only thing you have to do is, I guess, these 2 little notches go under that screw. So let's apply the thermal paste first. Some say that you have to clean it off of the old processor, but I would just go ahead and leave it on there. Some people say pour it in the middle. And that business card that I was talking about, only thing you got to do is just spread it out. Just make sure you cover it evenly. Everybody has a different method of doing this. I feel like the painter on PVC, so you just slide the paint over there just a little bit, just enough to get it going. There you go. Yeah. It's a little bit overkill, but that's what you want to do. You just slide the paste over there. It's like making a happy little tree or a happy little, you know. Y'all remember that show that came on PBS with the painter with the bush? Yeah, I used to watch that. All right, so we have the thermal paste on there. So let's just go ahead and so now we're going to cover that. Put this lid back on. And like I said before, there was no need to remove this. I just wanted to show you. So we're going to put the GPU fan back on. Make sure that's secured tight. Now we're going to put this heat sink back on. Make sure we have everything lined up. And we're just going to screw it in just a little bit. Okay. Okay. And we're just going to tighten it down. There's no need to over tighten it. Once this thing locks and you can't turn it no more, then you've done enough. Alright, and that's simply it. We're going to put the fan back on, and you'll hear a little click. Make sure both of these are down. And we're simply going to put the top back on. Going to flip the console back over. And we're going to put the screws back in. So if you don't have a magnetic screwdriver, my suggestion to you is to go ahead and put the screw on the screwdriver itself. Hold it till you get over top of the hole so it'll drop, and just screw it back in. Okay, and you heard that click click? You don't want to do that. Something's not flush. Make sure that this thing is in here correctly. All right, now that we got that done, apparently all the sides weren't on properly. Want to make sure everything is flush. And that's it. We just upgraded the processor from an i3 to an i7, and we upgraded the RAM from 4 gigs to 16 gigs. And like I said, if you go to the website, Dell's website or GameStop website, you only see this going up to 16 gigs of RAM. I mean, 8 gigs of RAM. You could do 16, honestly. And to be honest with you, I actually cheated. I got the RAM first before I got the processor, and I upgraded the RAM. And games like Transformers Devastation worked fine. The graphics were good on there, but you know, the graphics for that game is shell shaded type game. You're really not going to notice a difference. But the big difference I noticed is when I played Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Then when I installed Call of Duty on here with the 4 gigs of RAM, it would not run. I'm telling you. Trust me when I tell you. I was going to show you some gameplay footage, but it locked my system up. Something terrible. And Transformers Devastation, it was running like real slow before I installed the RAM. I mean, when you jumped with one of the robots, it was like jumping in slow motion. But the RAM, it did help this out a lot better. Graphically, I just wanted to see a better improvement, as you cannot do anything with the video card on this thing. But another game like H1Z1 ran tremendously, a lot better with the 16 gigs of RAM in here. So that concludes this portion of the upgrade that concludes this portion of the upgrading process. We're going to end the show with that, but we're going to do another episode where we go inside the system and we look at some gameplay footage and show you that we upgraded from a i3 to an i7. As you can tell on this sticker right here, it is an i3. And if you saw the video, we did upgrade this thing. So that's going to do it for this episode of WWTF. We want the Facts Gaming Show. We'll see you on the next episode where we'll be doing some gameplay and we'll be going through Windows 10 just to show you what this console is all about. Alright, see you next time.